There is a profound contradiction hidden within the fabric of reality, a quantum paradox that quietly dismantles the dreams of millions before they even have a chance to take root. It is a misunderstanding so deep and a trap so perfectly constructed to keep you in a state of perpetual longing that the vast majority of manifestation teachings, perhaps 99% of them, actually strengthen the bars of this cage while promising to hand you the key. The paradox is terrifyingly simple, yet it defies everything your mind has been trained to believe. The specific energetic frequency of wanting is the exact vibrational signal that confirms you do not possess the very thing you desire. We must look at this through the lens of quantum mechanics, where the act of observation is what solidifies reality. When you broadcast a state of wanting into the quantum field, you are essentially screaming, "I lack this." Because the field is a mirror and not a vending machine, it reflects that signal back to you with absolute precision, delivering more experiences of lacking that specific thing. You are, quite literally, manufacturing the absence of your desire through the very intensity of your desire to end that absence. If you have found your way to these words, if a subtle pull of intuition brought you here, you are standing on the precipice of a massive realization. You are about to uncover why the split second you cease wanting is the precise moment you align with a future timeline where you already possess everything you have been struggling to manifest. This is not about the superficial gloss of positive thinking or pretending you don't have preferences. This isn't about spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity that commands you to just be grateful and suppress your hunger for a better life. We are talking about hard physics. This is the mathematics of consciousness interfacing with probability waves. This is the physics of timeline navigation, a skill most human beings never acquire because they are too busy wanting to realize that the wanting itself is the wall, not the door. Every second you dwell in the frequency of desire is a second you are tuning your receiver to a reality where that desire remains unfulfilled. Conversely, every moment you shift from the state of wanting to the state of being is a moment you tune into the timeline where the wish is already a fact. Can you feel the friction rising in your mind as you process this? The internal voice that protests, "But I do want things. I am supposed to want things. How can I possibly create a new life without the desire for it?" That resistance you feel is the addiction to wanting speaking. It is a defense mechanism because wanting feels like work. It feels productive. It gives you a sense of vector, a north star, a reason to get out of bed. However, that sensation is a trap. Wanting is the frequency that quantum mechanically guarantees you will stay in a timeline where your goal remains forever on the horizon, always approaching but never arriving. You are wanting towards a future rather than being from a present reality. Quantum physics validates this through the observer effect. The consciousness that observes the experiment dictates how the particles behave. But most people miss the nuance here. Observation is not just seeing with your eyes. Observation is the total state of your consciousness at the moment of perception. When you observe your life through the lens of wanting, your fundamental state is lack. Therefore, lack is what you observe into physical manifestation. However, when you observe from a state of having, from the identity of the person who already possesses the desire, you match the frequency of the future timeline where that reality is solid. You collapse that specific probability wave into your current lived experience. This doesn't happen eventually. In quantum terms, the connection is immediate. The revelation that changes the entire game is this: the future where you are wealthy, healthy, or in love does not exist as a mere potential waiting for you to build it. It exists as an actual vibrant timeline, a reality as solid as the chair you're sitting in. That fulfilled timeline is as real as your current timeline. It exists right now, simultaneously with this moment of lack. The only variable separating this from that version of you is frequency, the vibrational configuration of your consciousness. Your current timeline is tuned to the station of wanting. That parallel timeline is tuned to the station of having. The instant you shift from wanting to being, you aren't creating a new reality. You are simply matching the one that is already broadcasting. You tune into it. You collapse your awareness into it, exactly like changing the channel on a television set to see a program that was airing all along. The mystics of antiquity encoded this secret in every sacred tradition. Before you ask, it is given. Notice the timing. It is not given after you toil, struggle, wait, and beg. It is given before. Why? Because in a quantum multiverse, all timelines exist at once. The timeline where your prayer is answered existed before the prayer even left your lips. It exists simultaneously with your desire, simply waiting for you to stop wanting it so you can start being it. The phrase, "seek and you shall find," is often misunderstood. The original resonance is closer to match the frequency and you will merge with the reality. Stop the seeking, start the being. When you do, what you were chasing reveals itself as already present, already yours, accessible in the timeline you have now matched by dropping the heavy anchor of wanting. Right now, as these concepts infiltrate your mind, something is shifting in your personal quantum field. Can you sense it? It is a subtle release, a loosening of the white-knuckle grip that wanting has held on your psyche. It is an opening, a glimmer of recognition that perhaps the chase has been the problem all along. This loosening is the activation key. This is where true timeline navigation begins. The future that contains everything you dream of starts to bleed into your present experience. It happens not because you are forcing it into existence, but because you are finally harmonizing with it. You are collapsing into it by the simple, profound act of releasing the frequency of lack. Take a deep breath. Inhale the present moment. Notice something profound about this breath. It exists only now. It is not a breath of wanting for the future or lacking from the past. It is just here. It is just being. In this micro moment of pure being, untainted by the hunger of want, you are vibrating at the frequency of the timeline where everything is fulfilled. You are touching that reality right now. You match it simply by being present, without the magnetic pull of desire dragging you toward an imagined future, or the push of lack shoving you away from an insufficient now. This moment of pure being is the doorway. The realization that you are fundamentally complete right now is the key. Everything that follows in this journey is simply learning how to stabilize this frequency, how to stop falling back into the addiction of wanting that society trained you to believe was normal, necessary, and the only path to success. You are discovering why everything you have been taught about achieving your goals has been backward. Wanting is the block. Releasing desire is the access point. The future that is already complete is closer than the one you are trying to build with the bricks of your longing. Before we can fully dissolve this addiction and show you how to lock into the fulfilled timeline, you must understand how wanting became your default operating system. Wanting is not natural. Look at a baby. They do not want in the complex psychological sense. They have needs, they express them, and they receive. Animals sense a requirement and move toward it without the heavy, neurotic state of, "I lack this." Wanting is a learned behavior. It is conditioned. It is a control mechanism deliberately installed to keep you perpetually seeking, perpetually dissatisfied, and forever in a state of lack. This mechanism drives consumption, striving, and the entire economic machinery that depends on humans never feeling whole. The first layer of this conditioning is ancient survival programming. Your ancestors needed to want food, shelter, and safety because survival in a harsh environment required it. The organism that constantly wanted more had a better statistical chance of surviving a famine than the organism that was content with less. That biological imperative got hard-coded into human consciousness. But here is the glitch. You are not living in a survival scenario right now. You likely have a roof, food, and basic safety, yet the wanting engine is still revving at maximum RPM, now applied to things that have absolutely nothing to do with staying alive. You want money far beyond utility. You want relationships that validate your ego. You want achievements that you hope will fill a void. The survival program is executing in a non-survival context, creating psychological suffering where no biological necessity exists. Then comes the second layer, economic conditioning. Modern consumer capitalism literally requires you to remain in a state of perpetual wanting. If humans felt complete, they would stop buying. If people felt truly fulfilled, the frantic striving would cease. The economic system as we know it would shudder and collapse if humanity shifted from a state of wanting to a state of being. From the moment you were born, you were taught to want. Marketing creates artificial voids. Schools create the wanting for grades and accolades. Social structures create the hunger for status. Cultural stories tell you that you need more, better, different. You are marinating in a soup of reinforced wanting every single day, and most people never wake up to the fact that this is not their natural state. It is engineered to keep you in a lack frequency that creates behaviors profitable to the systems you live within. The third layer is the most insidious because it disguises itself as the solution: spiritual conditioning. This might shock you, as spirituality is supposed to be the path to freedom. Yet most modern spiritual teachings actually reinforce the vibration of wanting while claiming to help you transcend it. Set your intention for what you want. That is wanting. Visualize the life you desire. That is wanting. Raise your vibration to attract what you crave. That is still wanting. The vocabulary is spiritual. The techniques are sophisticated. But the underlying frequency remains the broadcast of, I do not have this. You lack, you want, you try to get. It is just wanting, dressed in robes and crystals, keeping you in the same lack frequency that prevents the quantum collapse of the fulfilled timeline. The fourth layer is the addiction to the feeling of wanting itself. Paradoxically, wanting feels productive. It feels like momentum. It gives you a sense of direction when you feel lost. It provides a hit of motivation when you are uninspired. You have become addicted to the adrenaline of the chase because it is familiar, reinforced, and safe. The idea of releasing it creates terror, the fear that without this hunger, you will become a passive, aimless blob. But that fear is just the addiction talking. The state of being is not passive. It is powerfully, radiantly present. It is not aimless. It is intuitively guided. It is not unmotivated. It is naturally expressive. The addiction to wanting is simply the fear that you will cease to function without the whip of lack driving you. The truth is the opposite. Without wanting, you finally function from your true nature rather than a programmed lack algorithm. Finally, the fifth layer is the belief that wanting is the mechanism of manifestation itself. If you want it badly enough, you will get it. Follow your passion. All these aphorisms assume that desire is a positive force pushing you toward a goal. But quantum mechanically, wanting is the anchor. It is the specific frequency that binds you to the timeline where the object of your desire is absent. The stronger your wanting, the more powerfully you broadcast lack, and the field complies by delivering more lack. This explains why people who are desperate for a relationship or money rarely find it. Desperation is the maximum volume of lack frequency. The field, being perfectly responsive, delivers more experiences of desperately wanting but not having. It is crucial that you understand this is not your fault. You did not choose this addiction. It was installed before you had the conscious awareness to reject it. You were never taught that wanting is optional. You were taught it was a virtue, the engine of progress. Every institution reinforced it, while the state of just being was dismissed as laziness or unrealistic idealism. You have been swimming in a culture of want your entire life, never shown that there is an alternative way to interface with reality through being rather than wanting, through matching frequencies rather than chasing ghosts, through collapsing the timeline that already holds your treasure rather than trying to build it from scratch with the heavy tools of effort. Think back to the rare moments in your life when you weren't wanting. Maybe right after a huge achievement, there was a fleeting window of peace where you wanted nothing. Maybe in a deep, meditative trance. Maybe during a crisis where survival demanded such absolute presence that your mind didn't have the luxury to want anything in the future. In those moments, when the broadcast of lack was silenced, didn't reality feel more electric, more alive, more responsive? Things likely manifested with strange ease. Synchronicities popped up. That wasn't a coincidence. That was you accidentally stumbling into the being state, matching the fulfilled timeline because you momentarily put down the burden of wanting. What we are embarking on now is the process of making that accident intentional. We are going to make that rare peak experience your baseline reality. We are not adding anything to you. We are not asking you to achieve anything. We are releasing the addiction that was never yours to begin with. We are recognizing that the timeline of your dreams is already spinning, already active, and the only thing preventing you from slipping into it is the static noise of your own wanting. Release the want, match the being. The fulfilled timeline becomes yours, not eventually, immediately. The quantum mechanics have been waiting for you to shut up about what you lack long enough to receive what is already there. As you begin to peel away the layers of this conditioned addiction to wanting, the universe, which is simply a mirror of your own consciousness, begins to respond in specific, tangible ways. You do not have to guess if the shift is happening. There are distinct markers, cosmic breadcrumbs that confirm you are successfully tuning out of the frequency of lack and locking into the frequency of fulfillment. And these are not milestones you have to force. They are natural byproducts of your energetic realignment. When you stop screaming, "I don't have it," at the quantum field, the field finally has the silence required to hand you what was there all along. Recognizing these signals is critical because it builds the trust you need to let go completely. The first and perhaps most ironic signal is the phenomenon of sudden manifestation following genuine surrender. We have all experienced this, though we rarely understand the mechanics behind it. You desire something with white-knuckle intensity for months or even years. You visualize, you affirm, you strive, and you get absolutely nothing but silence. Eventually, exhausted and defeated, you truly give up, not as a strategic move to trick the universe, but a real, visceral release of the grip. You say, "I am done," and you mean it. And then, within days, sometimes within hours, the very thing you chased for years drops into your lap effortlessly. This is not a coincidence, nor is it the universe having a laugh at your expense. It is pure quantum mechanics. For the entire time you were wanting, you were broadcasting a powerful signal of absence, which kept you mathematically locked in a timeline where the object was missing. The moment you gave up, you stopped the broadcast of lack. The static cleared. Your consciousness was finally able to match the having timeline where the desire already existed. You didn't create the result by giving up. You revealed the result that was blocked by your own desperate noise. The second signal is synchronicity that flows without effort. When you are trapped in the wanting state, life feels like walking through mud. You are constantly strategizing, pushing, and trying to manipulate variables to force an outcome. But when you shift into the being state, the friction dissolves. The right people cross your path at the exact right second. The resource you need appears in an email you weren't expecting. Opportunities open doors that you didn't even know were there. This occurs because the being frequency is aligned with a timeline where reality is organized and fluid. You are no longer fighting the current. You have become the water. You are matching a reality where synchronicity is the standard operating procedure, not a miraculous exception. The third signal is a profound, mysterious contentment without a logical reason. You look around at your life and objectively, you do not have the things you thought you needed to be happy. The bank account hasn't changed yet. The relationship hasn't appeared yet. And yet, a strange sense of completeness washes over you. This is not resignation or defeat. It is a vibrant, quiet joy. This feeling is the most accurate indicator that your consciousness is physically touching the being state. You are feeling the emotional signature of the fulfilled timeline before the physical evidence has caught up. In the quantum realm, fulfillment is the ground state of existence, not a conditional reward. When you feel this causeless peace, you are vibrating in harmony with your future right now. The fourth signal is the transformation of your hunger into desire without attachment. You still have preferences, you still know what you would enjoy experiencing, but the heaviness is gone, the desperation has evaporated. You no longer feel that your worthiness or your happiness is held hostage by the acquisition of a specific goal. This is a massive energetic distinction. The being state transmutes desire from a needy craving born of lack into a playful preference born of curiosity. It shifts from, "I must have this to survive," to, "I am complete, and this would be a beautiful addition." When the terror of not getting it disappears, you have shifted timelines. The fifth signal is the collapse of time. Manifestations that your mind calculated would take years begin to unfold in months or weeks. The lag time between the impulse and the reality shrinks dramatically. This is not because you have become a better manifester. It is because the frequency of wanting creates a time gap. It pushes the object away into the future. By removing the wanting, you remove the delay. The being frequency matches a timeline where the desire and the fulfillment are nearly simultaneous. Speed is a natural byproduct of dropping the resistance of lack. The sixth signal is a reversal of the manifestation sequence. We are taught the linear path. You want something, you work for it, and then you get it. But in the being state, the sequence often flips. The thing appears in your life first, and only then do you realize, oh, this is exactly what I wanted. This baffles the ego, which loves to claim credit for its planning, but it makes perfect sense in the quantum field. Your deeper nature, your soul, knows what serves your highest evolution far better than your intellect does. When you operate from being, you are aligned with this deeper knowing, allowing manifestations to arrive that resonate with your true self before your mind has even formulated the sentence, I want this. The seventh signal is external recognition of your internal shift. People will start to comment on your energy. They will say you look different, lighter, more peaceful, or that there is a magnetism about you, even though you haven't changed your haircut or your clothes. They are perceiving the frequency shift. The vibration of wanting is repelling. It feels like a vacuum trying to suck energy from others. The vibration of being is magnetic. It feels like a sun radiating fullness. People are drawn to it instinctively because it is so rare in a world starved for authentic presence. And the eighth signal is the fact that you are here, absorbing this transmission right now. The quantum field does not make mistakes. It does not deliver information randomly. If these words are finding you, if you are feeling a resonance in your chest that goes beyond intellectual curiosity, it is because you are already initiating the shift. The algorithm that brought you here is just a digital reflection of the vibrational match you have already made. You are ready to know this because you are already beginning to live it. To fully navigate this shift from the frequency of wanting to the frequency of being, we must dismantle your current understanding of time and possibility. We need to look at the mechanics of the already fulfilled reality. This is not a metaphor. This is not a poetic way of telling you to be optimistic. We are dealing with the literal architecture of the multiverse. Imagine for a moment the concept of radio waves. Right now, in the room where you sit, there are dozens of radio stations broadcasting simultaneously. There is classical music, jazz, rock, news, and silence. They are all occupying the same space right now. You cannot hear the jazz station, not because it doesn't exist, but because your receiver is not tuned to its specific frequency. You do not create the jazz music by turning the dial. You simply access a reality that was already happening. Timelines function exactly like these radio stations. The version of your life where you are struggling, anxious, and lacking is one frequency station. The version of your life where you are abundant, healthy, loved, and deeply at peace is another frequency station. It is broadcasting right now. It is as real as the air in your lungs. It is not a potential future that you have to construct brick by brick. It is a parallel present reality. But you cannot experience the music of fulfillment while your consciousness is dialed into the static of wanting. Quantum physics, specifically the many worlds interpretation proposed by physicist Hugh Everett, provides the mathematical framework for this. It suggests that every time a quantum event has multiple possible outcomes, all of them actually happen, each in a newly branching universe. Every choice you make and every choice you don't make exists. You have felt the ghost of these other timelines, haven't you? The haunting sense of what if when you make a major life decision. Those are not just imagination. Those are echoes of the timelines you didn't collapse into your primary awareness. The timeline where you already have your desire is not waiting for you in next year. It exists in the now, parallel to your current experience. The only wall between you and that version of yourself is your frequency configuration. Your current timeline is built on the signal, I am becoming, I am trying, I am wanting. That parallel timeline is built on the signal, I am. This revelation is the turning point. If the fulfilled timeline already exists, you can stop the exhausting labor of trying to create it. You don't need to manufacture the outcome. You only need to match the frequency of the version of you who already lives there. Ask yourself, who is that version of you? The you who already has the money, the love, the health. What is their internal state? Are they sitting around feeling desperate? Are they anxious about when it will come? No. That version of you is calm. That version of you is secure. That version of you is not wanting anything because the lack has been obliterated by presence. To get to that timeline, you must adopt the psychology and vibration of that future self now. You must be the person who has it before you see it. This is not fake it till you make it. This is be it until you become it. It is an act of quantum collapsing. This concept can be difficult to grasp because the addiction to wanting is so loud. But I learned this the hard way through a personal journey that shattered my old worldview. 5 years ago, I was the poster child for wanting. I was trapped in the most intense state of lack I had ever known. I wanted success, I wanted health, I wanted stability, and I wanted it all with a desperate, clawing hunger. I did everything the books told me to do. I visualized, I made vision boards, I wrote affirmations until my hand cramped. I was screaming my desires at the universe, and the result? Silence. Or worse, a slow regression. The more I wanted, the further away my goals seemed to drift. I was chasing a mirage that receded with every step I took. I didn't realize that my wanting was the fuel for my failure. I thought my desperation showed the universe how serious I was. In reality, I was blasting the cosmos with the frequency of I do not have, and the cosmos was faithfully mirroring that lack back to me. Then, a crisis hit. A severe health issue emerged that was so demanding, so terrifying, and so immediate that it hijacked my entire consciousness. I was forced into the absolute present moment. I physically could not afford the energy to worry about my career or my future ambitions. My world shrank to the sensation of the breath in my lungs right now. The wanting stopped, not because I was enlightened, but because I was distracted by survival. In that accidental silence where the noise of I want was finally muted, something impossible happened. The floodgates opened. Everything I had been chasing for years, the opportunities, the resources, the connections, started to manifest rapidly. It was a cascade of synchronicity. Things appeared through pathways I hadn't even imagined. At first, I was confused. I thought maybe the universe was pitying me, giving me a break because I was sick. But as I recovered and analyzed the data, I realized the mechanics of what had occurred. The crisis didn't cause the manifestation. The crisis caused the release of the wanting by forcing me into the present moment, into a state of pure being. Even if it was painful being, I inadvertently stopped broadcasting the lack signal. I had accidentally matched the frequency of the fulfilled timeline. The manifestations had been waiting at the door the whole time. My wanting was the hand holding the door shut from the inside. Once I understood this, I decided to test it. I had to know if I could replicate this state without needing a catastrophe to force me there. Could I release wanting intentionally? Could I navigate timelines consciously? The experiment was radical. I chose the one desire I still had that was the most charged, the one I felt I needed the most, the one where my wanting was a screaming addiction. I sat with it, and I practiced genuine release. I didn't pretend I didn't want it. I shifted my perspective from I need this to be whole to I am whole right now, whether this happens or not. I moved from future-focused obsession to present-centered completeness. It was terrifying. My ego screamed that if I stopped wanting it, I would lose it forever. But I persisted until the release was real, until I truly felt a wash of neutrality and peace. 3 days later, the thing I had been chasing for 2 years manifested. It arrived through a coincidence so unlikely it defied statistical probability. It wasn't magic. It was the release of the resistance. I had stopped tuning into the lack timeline and finally allowed the receiver to pick up the fulfilled timeline. I tested it again and again. Small things, Massive things, material things, relational things. The pattern was immutable. While I was in the energy of wanting, nothing moved. The moment I attained authentic release and shifted to being, the timeline collapsed and the reality appeared. I discovered a law of physics that most people will never know. The intensity of your wanting is inversely proportional to the speed of your manifestation. The more you need it, the slower it comes. The more you are willing to let it go and be complete without it, the faster it races toward you. This is the great cosmic joke. The universe is waiting for you to realize you don't need any of it, so it can give you all of it. Manifestation is not about acquisition, it is about alignment. It is about matching the frequency of the reality that already exists. Now that the mechanism is clear and the proof is established, we face the practical question. How do you do this? How do you actually turn off a wanting program that has been running in the background of your mind for decades? How do you shift from the addiction of seeking to the power of being? Now that we have dismantled the illusion of linear time and exposed the mechanics of how frequency determines reality, we arrive at the most critical juncture of this transmission. The theory is potent, but the practice is transformative. The question burning in your mind is practical. How do you actually release wanting when the program runs so deep? How do you shift from the desperate state of seeking to the magnetic state of being, especially when your conditioning is automatic, relentless, and reinforced by the world around you? You're up against a formidable opponent, the addiction to the chase. This addiction whispers that if you stop wanting, you will lose your drive, you will become passive, and you will drift into nothingness. We must shatter this lie. We are not talking about suppression. We are talking about transmutation. We are going to walk through the specific keys to dissolving the wanting addiction without losing your direction or your fire. The first key, the alchemical shift from wanting to preferring. You must learn to distinguish the frequency of wanting from the frequency of preferring. They may look similar on the surface, both involve a desire for a future outcome, but energetically, they are worlds apart. Wanting is born from a void. It says, I am incomplete, and I need this external thing to fill the hole. It is heavy, sticky, and desperate. Preferring, on the other hand, is born from wholeness. It says, I am already complete as I am, but I would enjoy this experience as a delightful addition. The energy of preference is light, playful, and curious. It is the energy of a master choosing from a menu, not a starving person begging for crumbs. To activate this key, you must become a vigilant guardian of your own state. When you catch yourself fixating on a desire, pause and ask, am I wanting this from a place of lack, or am I preferring this from a place of completeness? If you feel the heaviness of lack, stop. Shift your consciousness. Remind yourself that you are whole right now. The desire is just a game, a possibility to explore, not a requirement for your survival. This subtle pivot from need to choice changes the entire broadcast signal from lack to abundance. The second key, radical fulfillment in the now. The second protocol is the practice of fulfillment before the evidence arrives. This is the hardest step for the ego because the ego believes fulfillment is conditional on external circumstances. It says, I will be happy when I get the money, or I will be at peace when the partner arrives. This is a trap. You must recognize that fulfillment is an internal geometric configuration of consciousness, not a reaction to an event. You have breath. You have awareness. You have the infinite potential of the present moment. That is the foundation. Everything else, every car, every house, every accolade is just decoration. When you practice feeling fulfilled right now, regardless of the chaos or scarcity in your physical reality, you are hacking the system. You are broadcasting the being frequency that matches the timeline where your desires are already manifest. You aren't doing this to attract the result. You are doing it to tune yourself to the reality where the result is already a normal part of your life. The third key, the release of attachment. This brings us to the paradox of intention. You must have a direction without being attached to the specific path or the specific outcome. Attachment is the home address of wanting. When you are attached to exactly how something must happen, or when it must happen, you are gripping the steering wheel with fear. You are vibrating with the frequency of "it hasn't happened yet," which keeps you locked in the past. The being state allows you to hold a preference firmly but lightly. It is the archer who aims with precision but releases the string completely. Once the arrow is flying, you cannot steer it with your anxiety. You must trust the physics of the flight. When you release attachment, you open yourself to the timeline where your desire is fulfilled. Perhaps not in the way your limited mind imagined, but in a way that serves your highest evolution. This is not apathy, it is powerful, trusting intention. The fourth key, the already is perspective. You must rewrite your relationship with time. Instead of thinking, "I hope this comes to me someday," you must adopt the perspective of, "This already exists in a parallel frequency, and I am simply tuning into it." This is a cognitive reframing that aligns you with quantum mechanics. Stop waiting. Waiting is a state of consciousness that asserts separation. Instead, view the time between your desire and its manifestation not as a distance to be traveled, but as a lag time. While the physical density catches up to the quantum reality you have already locked in, the timeline is real. The version of you who has it is real. You are simply merging with them. The fifth key, celebrating the present. Every moment you spend lamenting what is missing is a moment you are reinforcing the walls of your cage. You are actively feeding the lack timeline with your attention. To break this, you must become aggressively grateful for what is present. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about recognizing that gratitude is the frequency of having. When you appreciate what is here, the small mercies, the simple joys, you are reinforcing the signal of abundance. You are telling the field, "I have," and the field responds, "Yes, you do," and gives you more to have. Gratitude is not a moral obligation. It is a mechanical necessity for timeline shifting. The sixth key, the mental interruption, the addiction to wanting lives in your repetitive thoughts. It is the loop that plays at 3 a.m. Why isn't it here yet? What am I doing wrong? How long will this take? These thoughts are not harmless. They are spells you are casting on yourself, locking you into the frequency of lack. You must develop the discipline of the watchman. Catch these thoughts the moment they arise. Do not judge them. That just adds more resistance. Simply notice them. There is a wanting thought. Then deliberately choose a different frequency. Replace "I need this" with "I am complete and I am matching the timeline where this is already mine." You are not trying to convince yourself. You are stating a quantum fact. The seventh key, the trust fall. When you first begin this practice of release, it will feel terrifying. Your mind will scream that you are giving up. It will tell you that without the anxiety of wanting, you are losing your edge. This is the withdrawal symptom of the addiction. You must build trust through empirical evidence. Treat this like a scientist. Watch what happens. As you stabilize in the being frequency, you will notice that manifestations occur faster and with less effort than they ever did when you were striving and struggling. Each success builds your confidence. You will realize that the being state is not passive. It is the most potent creative stance a human being can hold. It aligns you with the flow of the universe rather than fighting against it. The phase beyond wanting. As you integrate these keys, something profound and unexpected begins to happen. A phenomenon that most manifestation teachers never warn you about because they haven't gone deep enough to experience it. You enter the phase I call beyond wanting. In this phase, you start to notice that the things manifesting in your life are often different from what your ego thought it wanted. Sometimes they are strange, sometimes they are unexpected, but almost always they are infinitely better. This is happening because you have shifted from the wanting frequency, which is limited by your imagination and your past conditioning, to the being frequency, which is aligned with your soul and the infinite intelligence of the field. You stop trying to micromanage reality. You stop handing the universe a shopping list and demanding specific brands. Instead, you exist in a state of high-frequency fulfillment, and you allow the timeline that matches that frequency to reveal itself. This can be disorienting for the ego, which loves control. You might find that the relationship you thought you wanted fades away. only to be replaced by a connection so deep you couldn't have conceptualized it. You might lose the job you were desperate for, only to be guided into a vocation that sets your soul on fire. You are no longer creating from the limited menu of the mind. You are manifesting from the infinite intelligence of the quantum field. In the beyond wanting phase, manifestation becomes effortless, but it also becomes unpredictable. You are no longer driving the car with your white knuckles on the wheel. You are the passenger in a vehicle guided by your highest self. This requires a massive surrender. You must trust that the being frequency knows better than you do. The challenge here is social. People who knew you in your wanting phase might not recognize you. They are used to you talking about your goals, your grind, your struggles. Now you are quiet. You are content. You are not broadcasting neediness. They might mistake your peace for passivity. They might think you have lost your ambition, but you haven't given up. You have evolved. You have graduated from being driven by the engine of lack to being guided by the compass of being. You are no longer pursuing what you don't have. You are expressing what you are. The direction of your life is no longer coming from a mental image of a future success. It is arising from the resonance of the present moment. This feels uncertain to the wanting mind, which demands a map, but to the awakened consciousness, it feels like freedom. You learn to move step by step, trusting that the next stone will appear under your foot as you walk. You are no longer leaping ahead into a fantasy future. You are fully inhabiting the power of now and letting the future grow organically from that fullness. Even years into this phase, the old patterns will try to sneak back in. You will catch yourself falling into "I want that," or "when will this happen?" The difference is, now you recognize it instantly. You don't live there anymore. You correct the course. You return to the baseline of being. You remember that the things that come from alignment are always sweeter, more sustainable, and more deeply nourishing than the things you used to claw for in the dark. This is not a destination where you stop growing. It is a new foundation. You continue to evolve, explore, and create, but you do it from a platform of completeness rather than a pit of scarcity. You are playing the game of life for the joy of the play, not because you need to win to prove you exist. You are learning to be comfortable with the mystery, trusting that your frequency is the only architect you need. We must now zoom out. Until this moment, we have focused on your internal landscape, your personal frequency, and your individual timeline, but you do not exist in a vacuum. What is unraveling within your consciousness is mirroring a seismic shift occurring across the entire planetary field. This is not merely a private spiritual practice or a self-improvement technique you do in isolation. You are participating in a tectonic movement of collective consciousness. We are in the midst of a species-level migration, a transition from the wanting paradigm, which has ruled human history for millennia, to the being paradigm. We are evolving from a civilization trying to extract what it lacks, to a civilization realizing it already exists in a timeline where everything is provided. Understanding this collective dimension changes everything about how you relate to your own journey. You are not a lone pioneer hacking through the jungle. You are part of a massive wave that is rewriting the code of how humanity interfaces with reality. Consider the implications of this shift on the structures that govern our world. Our current global economy is fundamentally engineered on the frequency of wanting. It thrives on the manufactured sensation of emptiness. If human beings suddenly felt complete, the engine of consumer capitalism, as we know it, would stall. However, this does not mean the end of creation or commerce. It means the evolution of it. Imagine an economy where people do not consume to fill a gaping void in their soul, but rather consume to express the overflow of their joy. Imagine a world where we do not buy things to become enough, but to celebrate the fact that we are already whole. This is the shift from a scarcity-based system driven by desperation to an abundance-based system driven by creative expression. Look at our education systems. Currently, they are factories designed to install the wanting virus. They train children to want the next grade, the next diploma, the next credential, perpetually reinforcing the idea that they are not somebody until they achieve an external marker. If enough of us shift to the being state, education transforms. It ceases to be about molding people into products and becomes a garden for empowering humans to discover what they naturally are. It shifts from become this so you can be worthy to you are worthy. Now express your unique genius. Even our social dynamics are built on the scaffolding of lack. We compete for status because we believe status is a scarce resource we need for survival. We seek validation from others because we do not feel it in ourselves. But when you shift to the being state, you exit the competition. You are no longer asking, "Do you like me?" You are asking, "What can we create together from our shared completeness?" Connection becomes an authentic sharing of energy rather than a desperate extraction of approval. You are the leading edge of this transformation. You are not special or chosen in an elitist sense. You are simply ready. You are ready to drop the addiction that keeps the majority of the species locked in a hallucination of poverty. By doing this work, you are performing a service for the collective. Every second you sustain the being frequency, you act as a broadcast tower, strengthening the signal for everyone else. You are proving to the morphic field, the invisible web that connects all minds, that wanting is not necessary for survival. You are hacking the collective path, making it easier for the person behind you to find their way. However, there is a trap here that catches many awakened souls. You might feel a sudden urge to save everyone, to shake your friends awake, to preach the gospel of being. Do not do this. This shift is not about conversion. It is not about convincing people who are addicted to the drama of their own lack. You must understand that some souls are still learning through the curriculum of wanting. They have chosen to explore the limitations of the lack-based paradigm, and that is their sacred right. Your role is not to be an evangelist. Your role is to be a beacon. A lighthouse does not run around the island looking for boats to save. It stands still and shines. Your mission is to embody the frequency of fulfillment so transparently that your very existence becomes a transmission. When people are ready, they will look at you and recognize something they have forgotten in themselves. They will see that your peace is not faked. They will sense that your magnetism is not desperate. Your frequency will activate their own recognition that wanting is optional. Share these truths only with those who resonate. The quantum field is efficient. It ensures that the right information reaches the right consciousness at the precise moment of readiness. If someone dismisses this as nonsense, let them. They are not ready, and that is perfect for their timeline. You are here to match the fulfilled timeline so intensely that you serve as a tuning fork for the rest of us. This brings us to the precipice of the ultimate choice. There comes a moment, perhaps it is happening to you as you read this sentence, where you can no longer straddle the fence. You have to choose how you will interface with reality for the rest of your life. This is not a choice about what car to buy or who to date. It is a fundamental choice about your operating system. Will you continue to live from the frequency of "I want what I don't have," or will you step into the frequency of "I am what I seek"? This choice usually arrives not as a logical decision, but as a recognition of a pattern. You look back at your life and you see the data clearly. When you desperately wanted, you suffered and waited. When you let go and just were, miracles happened. The evidence is irrefutable, and yet the choice is terrifying. Why? Because the addiction to wanting screams that if you let go, you will die. It tells you that wanting is your fuel, your motivation, your identity. It whispers, if you stop chasing, you will end up with nothing. But you know now that this is a lie. You know that the being state is the most active, powerful, and magnetic state possible. It does not prevent manifestation. It enables instantaneous timeline matching. Ancient traditions spoke of this choice as surrender, or letting go. Unfortunately, in our culture, those words sound like defeat. They sound like losing. But true quantum surrender is not passive. It is an aggressive, courageous act of releasing a frequency that no longer serves you. It is the conscious decision to stop tuning your radio to the station of lack FM and to finally turn the dial to the frequency of fulfillment. It is not giving up on your desires. It is giving up on the broken method you have been using to chase them. It is realizing that screaming, "I don't have it," at the universe will never, ever produce the echo, "Here it is." Many people reach this edge and retreat. They understand the concept intellectually, but they cannot make the emotional leap. The fear is too great. What if nothing happens, they ask. What if I let go and the universe leaves me empty? These fears keep them trapped in the wanting hamster wheel because even though it doesn't work, at least it feels like doing something. It feels productive to worry. It feels responsible to stress. But it is actually the mechanism of your entrapment. You, however, have an advantage. You have data. You have already experienced the glimpses. Remember the times you gave up and then received. Those were not accidents. Those were laboratory results. You are not making a blind leap of faith into the void. You are making an informed decision based on the physics of your own experience. You are choosing the method that works over the method that feels familiar. I stood at this exact crossroad 8 years ago. My wanting strategy had failed completely. I had to decide, do I keep banging my head against the wall because that's what I was taught to do, or do I try the counterintuitive path of total release? My fear told me to keep pushing. My experience told me to let go. I chose experience. I chose to release wanting consciously rather than waiting for another crisis to break me open. What followed was a period of rehabilitation. I had to relearn how to desire. I had to learn how to have a preference without having a panic attack attached to it. I had to learn to intend a result without needing it to breathe. It wasn't easy. The old neural pathways of I need, I want, I lack tried to fire again and again. But every time I managed to stay in the being state, the reality responded so beautifully that my trust calcified into rock-solid knowing. Now, the being frequency is my baseline. The wanting frequency is the anomaly. The fulfilled timeline is where I live, and the lack timeline is a place I only visit when I momentarily forget who I am. Your choice point is here. It is simple, but it requires courage. Will you continue to broadcast lack and wonder why the mirror of reality shows you emptiness? Or will you release the addiction, step into the power of being, and match the timeline where everything you have ever dreamed of is already gathering dust, waiting for you to pick it up? Once you make this choice, not as a one-time declaration, but as a moment-by-moment commitment, the question shifts from how do I manifest to how do I live? What does daily life actually look like when you are no longer hunting for your own happiness? Because understanding the physics is one thing, embodying the reality is another, and it is in the embodiment, the waking up, the coffee drinking, the interacting, the working, that the timeline match becomes permanent. Living from the frequency of being is not a concept you memorize. It is a physiological and energetic reality you inhabit. It changes the texture of your existence from the moment your eyes open in the morning. In the old paradigm, the wanting timeline, you woke up in a deficit. Your first thought was a catalog of what you had to achieve, fix, or acquire just to reach zero. You started every day in the red, scrambling to pay off a debt of worthiness that didn't exist. Living in the being frequency flips the script entirely. You wake up in a surplus. You open your eyes, and the fundamental sensation is, I am complete. The day is no longer a battlefield where you fight for scraps of validation. It is a canvas where you express the overflow of your own fulfillment. You are not doing less. In fact, you are likely doing more. But the engine driving the action has changed. You have shifted from efforting to flowing. You have moved from the frantic energy of trying to get somewhere to the powerful energy of allowing what is already here to unfold. This shift radically transforms your interactions with other human beings. When you are stuck in wanting mode, you are unconsciously an energy vampire. You walk into a room scanning for what you can extract: approval, love, status, safety. You are a vacuum cleaner of validation. People feel this. They might not have the vocabulary for it, but their nervous systems recoil. Desperation is the world's strongest repellent. However, when you enter a room in the being mode, you need nothing. You are a sun, generating your own gravity and light. You are not there to take. You are there to share the excess of your own presence. This paradoxically makes you irresistibly magnetic. People are drawn to you not because you are begging for their attention, but because you are so secure you don't need it. Connection becomes a playground of authentic exchange rather than a marketplace of needy transaction. Your relationship with money undergoes a similar alchemy. In the wanting timeline, money is a security blanket you are terrified to lose. You grasp at it, you hoard it, or you repel it with your anxiety. You operate from scarcity, and scarcity tells the quantum field to constrict the flow. But in the being timeline, you recognize that security is an internal state, not a number in a database. Money becomes a tool for play, for expansion, for art. When you stop strangling the flow of abundance with your fear of lack, the pipes open. Resources appear through non-linear channels because you are finally vibrating at the frequency of the timeline where abundance is the natural law, not the exception. Consider your creativity. In the old world, you created to prove yourself. I need to write this book so I am respected. I need to build this business so I am safe. That energy taints the work. It makes it brittle. In the new world, you create because the life force within you demands expression. This wants to move through me. The art that comes from being is potent, uncompromised, and pure. It resonates with others because it isn't asking them for anything. It is giving them everything. Perhaps the most liberating change is the end of your war with reality. In wanting mode, the present moment is the enemy. It is the obstacle you must overcome to get to the better future. You are in a constant state of low-grade resistance to what is. In being mode, the war ends. You accept the present moment as the perfect foundation. You are not resigned to it. You are aligned with it. You realize that you cannot hate your way to a better life. You can only love your way into a higher timeline. I am not telling you this from a place of theoretical perfection. I still have moments where the old programming boots up. The wanting virus tries to run a script, usually around deep-seated triggers like health or intimacy. But the difference now is that it doesn't stick. The baseline has moved. Being is the home address. Wanting is just a hotel I accidentally checked into and can immediately check out of. The shift becomes irreversible, not because you have iron willpower, but because you have seen the truth. You cannot unsee that wanting is a mechanism of suffering and being is the mechanism of creation. The irreversible shift happens quietly. There are no fireworks. You simply look back one day and realize you haven't felt that gnawing, hollow hunger in months. You realize that the things that used to trigger a spiral of anxiety now just bounce off your field. Desires that used to consume your every waking thought now feel light, optional, like choosing a flavor of ice cream rather than fighting for oxygen. You haven't killed desire. You have purified it. You have moved from the heavy, controlling energy of "I must have this" to the light, inviting energy of "I am ready for this." This is the state the ancient masters called liberation. It is not an escape from the world. It is an escape from the illusion that the world holds the key to your happiness. You remain fully engaged, fully alive, fully feeling. But you are no longer a slave to the conditional. Your peace is no longer held hostage by your circumstances. You are free. And now, we arrive at the threshold. Everything we have discussed, the quantum mechanics, the psychology of lack, the keys to release, has been preparation for this specific moment. We are moving from information to activation. We are going to conduct the test right now. You are going to experience the visceral shift from wanting to being in real time, and you are going to prove to yourself that you can access the fulfilled timeline at will. This is not a meditation. This is a quantum operation. If you are in a safe place, I invite you to close your eyes. If you are driving or moving, simply soften your gaze and turn your attention inward. I want you to bring to mind something you have been wanting. Do not pick your biggest, most terrifying life trauma just yet. We are building the muscle. Pick a moderate desire, something you have genuinely wanted for a while but hasn't shown up. Maybe a specific amount of money, a text from a specific person, a resolution to a conflict. Get that desire in your mind. Now I want you to actively feel the wanting. Turn up the volume on the lack. Feel the distance between you and the object. Feel the thought, "I don't have this. Where is it? I need it." Notice where that sensation lives in your body. Is it a tightness in the chest, a pit in the stomach, a tension in the throat? Notice the texture of it. It feels constricted. It feels sticky. It feels like waiting. This, right here, is the frequency that blocks the timeline. This is the wall. Now, we are going to drop it. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, release the grip. I want you to imagine that you have just received the news that it is done. It is solved. It is yours. You don't have to look for it anymore. It has arrived. Shift your internal state from "I hope" to "It is finished." Tell yourself, "I am complete. Whether this thing physically is in my hand or not, I am whole. I am safe. I am enough." Feel the energy shift. Feel the heaviness evaporate. Feel the transition from the tight, grasping energy of the hunter to the open, relaxed energy of the receiver. Notice the relief. That relief is not just an emotion, it is a frequency signature. That is the sound of a timeline locking into place. You are now vibrating at the frequency of the version of you who already has it. Notice that the version of you who has it is not sitting around wanting it. They are busy enjoying it. They are calm. They are moving on to other things. Match that calm. Match that neutrality. Hold this frequency for a moment. Do not think about the how. Do not wonder when. Just bathe in the sensation of the already done. You are no longer waiting for the radio station to play your song. You are humming the tune yourself. Now open your eyes. The work is done. The quantum handshake has occurred. You have successfully collapsed the wave function. The timeline where that desire exists has been accessed. Now comes the hardest part of the test. You must not dig up the seed. In the coming days, your mind will want to check. Is it here yet? Did it work? The moment you check with anxiety, you have slipped back into the wanting timeline. You have tuned the radio back to static. When the thought comes up, simply remind yourself, I matched the frequency. It is done. The physical reality is just buffering. It's on its way. And then dismiss it. Go back to being complete. Go back to enjoying your life. The less you obsess, the faster the lag time dissolves. Watch what happens. This is not a metaphor. Physical reality is dense, so it takes a moment to rearrange itself around your new frequency. But it will rearrange. It has to. It is a mirror. It has no choice but to reflect who you are being. When the manifestation appears, and it will, pay attention to the timing. Did it come when you were stressing? No. It came when you forgot to look. It came when you were busy being happy. It came when you finally took your hands off the throat of the universe. This is the proof you have been waiting for. Wanting was the barrier. Being is the bridge. The fulfilled future was never far away. It was just on a different channel. You have now been given the codes. You understand the paradox. You see the trap of the addiction, and you hold the keys to freedom. The test is complete. The shift is active. The timeline is matched. Welcome to the frequency of being. Welcome to the reality where the future you used to chase is the present you now inhabit. The moment you stop wanting is the moment you become, and you are ready. If you're ready to expand your consciousness and step into your next quantum leap, subscribe now. Leave a comment below with the phrase I am being to lock in this frequency, and share this message with someone ready to awaken.